Right, here with Ian Allinson. We've finished pre-season with a 2-2 draw against Kings Lynn Town. Ian, what are your sort of initial thoughts after the game on that?
See you, Michael.
As you get interrupted.
No, brilliant. To be fair, I was just probably what the doctor ordered in the first half because we got our backside smacked a little bit, which brought us down to earth, which was brilliant. We needed that after having such a good pre-season, and it just made us realise that we've not reached any heights or won anything in terms of pre-season, and it was nice for a side to come here and to be fair, they were decent. I thought they were very, very good first half. We put some things right at half time, adjusted one or two positions and players, and I thought second half we went out and was really good, and it was well worth the 2-2 draw in the end. But I say first half made us realise that we've got a lot of areas still to work on, we've got lots of shapes still to work on, and our ball retention is fair in terms of the first sort of 25-30 minutes wasn't good enough, and we gave it away too cheaply, and they will hurt you if you give it away too many times, because their rotation, their ball rotation in terms of the way they keep the ball and the way they move it, and the players they've got, they're a good side, and you can see why they've won the or should I say that they went up from the National North last season.
Would you say that was our toughest test this pre-season?
Without a shadow of doubt. Yeah, without a shadow of doubt. I think it was a good game in terms of where we was, and I think we've got to make sure that we're ready now for Hitchin next week, which is going to be tough, and we're under no illusions in terms of the games we've got and the performance we've got coming up. It's going to be a tough start, but the players are in a good place at the moment. They've done extremely well. It's been a long pre-season, but we've managed to keep them focused on the good things, and their energies have been good. And we've got to take that forward now to next week.
2 goals from set pieces. It was something that we didn't necessarily do last season. Must have been pleasing to see that.
Pleasing because we haven't worked on any set pieces at all, which is good. So this week we'll be working on a number of set pieces in terms of what we have to do. And that's what we'll do. But at the moment, set pieces we're probably at the back of our mind in terms of going into pre-season and the games, and we've got to make sure we go and do that now for next week and the following weeks after that. But that's what Tuesday and Thursday is for this week.
Talk about Hitchin. We were drawn at home to them in the FA Cup second qualifying round yesterday. How do you sort of prepare this week as the season is finally upon us?
Well, we need to do some homework. Lucky enough, we had a couple of people at the game last Monday. I see they've had the goalkeeper sent off today after 4 minutes at Stourbridge, so it'll be interesting to see what that's for and whether they'll be in a position to appeal. But it's going to be a tough game, and my record against Hitchin isn't brilliant. I think we've lost probably 3 times on penalties, and Michael Johnson's always been brilliant for Hitchin. So there's a story in itself that Michael Johnson's a very good penalty saver. So I'm glad we've got him in our goal. But again, it's 90 minutes. We've got to try and get the job done as quickly as we can, if we can. But we know it's going to be a very tough game. They've had a really good pre-season as well. They've also had 3 competitive games where we've had none. And so it's going to be tough. And if we're not really on our game and ready for what's going to be expected from them, then we're going to come unscathed on our first game of the season, which we don't want to do. But we'll plan and we'll prepare and we'll make sure we're ready for them, and then we'll see where we are at sort of 4:45, 10:05 next Saturday.
As you said, it's been a long summer. What have you made of a very different summer? I can imagine the strangest sort of pre-season you've had in football.
Yeah, I mean, I think we go back to the beginning of March, and I made quite an outspoken statement. I felt in terms of we shouldn't have been playing. We've got to remember a lot of people have lost their lives over the last 6 months, and I think everybody here at St Albans City Football Club, send their condolences to the people that have lost loved ones over that period, because it's been very strange. Also having older family members that are still alive, and you're trying to protect them. You've also got to respect that I'm not the youngest person in the world anymore, and I'm in that category that comes under pressure from this virus. So we've all got to be very careful about it. We speak at length with the players about being respectful, about staying in their little bubbles and making sure that we don't get too carried away. I went to a game last night with Stanway Rovers where the youth team played, and to be fair, there was no segregation, there was no COVID officers in place, and it was just really poor to see, because if that continues, football will stop in this country. And unless we take some responsibility in making sure that these things are organised properly and things are put in place to make sure that we stay in the sixes or whatever the change room is, and we keep people safe, If we don't do that, football will stop, and it will stop in the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks again if we're not careful. So it's our responsibility to make sure we get these things right. It's every football club's owners, it's the secretaries, and it's the players to make sure that they do these things correctly, behave in the correct way when they're not at the club. Don't be going out and having all these bubbles where there's loads and loads of people around. Just respect it, and we'll get through it. If not, then we'll be back into a lockdown or a shutdown, I should imagine, by the time we get into the beginning of December if we're not careful.
And on Thursday, the National League released a statement about the start of the new season. What do you think of the statement, and where do you think we're going to be going from here?
I think it'll come down to what sort of finance they can get. If they don't get any finance, I think there'll probably be, of the 67 clubs, I would imagine there'll be 50 clubs that won't be able to start the season, because for a long period of time, and you've got to look at it, the season's no shorter than it has been, because we go on to the 29th of May. So, I know unless the owners put money into this football club won't survive. So, and how is it fair on the owners to have to keep putting money in the football club? I don't think it is. The government have taken away the organisation that we can have supporters, which is fine. And as I said to you earlier, I totally respect that, because there's too many people that's dying in this country. But there's also got to be another system for allow us to have football. Mental health will tell you that we need football in this country. People need to be able to see it, whether it's on a streaming, whether it's highlights, or whether it's actually just watching the score come up on your phone or whatever. People need that, and that will do so much good for this country and for the people that have suffered with the mental side of football. We've had Tom Bender, who's been very highly outspoken in terms of how he's suffered, and he's suffered in terms of the 6-month lockdown. He's come back and he's worked extremely hard to get his fitness levels back. He's been extremely hard to get his enjoyment back, because that was a tough 6 months for him. I know his mum was at risk at one stage. So, we've got to look through the whole scenario of where we are, and if we do it correctly and we behave correctly and we're responsible of our own actions, and that means the whole of the nation, then we have a chance of getting through this. And when I say in terms of the football side of it, if we don't, then I think we'll end up back into a lockdown, and everybody will be sitting on their haunches again.
Brilliant. And what would your final message be to City supporters as we enter a strange season with a lot of unknowns?
Well, I just try and get behind us as much as you can. It's going to be difficult, if the streaming takes off, which I think it is. Please buy into that. We'll try and set up some calls in terms of if anyone wants to speak to any of the players individually. As long as we're being positive about that, we can probably do a Zoom night with a number of supporters and one of the players or two of the players. So there's lots of things we can do to try and get them to know who the new players are, which is we need to organise all of that. But just get behind the team, because the minute that the ban is lifted, or the pause, the system to fans coming into stadiums is lifted, we need as many people as we can. I mean, it's just been a shame, because we've had 3 great games the last 10 days against Wealdstone, Sutton, and now Kings Lynn, and the players have been brilliant from that side of it, and it'd been great if we could have had supporters in here. We can't. I mean, it's fortunate that we can have you guys in here, because you're doing all of this side of it, the media side of it. But I'd say buy into the streaming. The club needs the money as well, and that's the most important thing. The club needs to survive. We need to try and keep the squad together, and the only way we're going to do that is if people buy into the streaming system, buy into some of the other stuff that we're trying to do. And it's a bit of a plea for me to sort of ask people to spend a bit of money on the club, on the players, on the system that we're trying to do, and hopefully we'll survive during this really difficult period. And it is going to be a difficult period, because the cold weather's starting to come. It's dark in the mornings, it's dark at night. Where before, with the lockdown before, it was a sunny period as we went through, and it was a warm period. Now this is going to be tough, and everyone has to get together, look after your loved ones, I would say, look after your family members, be responsible, and let's get through this together.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ian.
Thanks.